Hi there, this is Brittany from By Brittany Goldwyn. I post videos about plants and projects, and today we are going to be talking about hand pollinating squash. Why hand pollinating squash? Because the wonderful folks at Vego Gardens sent me the cover over a bed you see behind me. Squash pests are absolutely the worst. There are tons of ways that people recommend you get around dealing with squash bugs and vine borers, the two main ones that I've been battling all year. One of the best ways to avoid pests completely is to cover your crops. However, squash needs pollinated. Now, typically bees are going to be doing this work for us, buzzing from flower to flower on the plant. But when you cover your plants to protect them from insects, that also means that bees can't get to the squash plants to do their pollination magic. So you have to get in there and hand pollinate. This is a really easy process. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it, and we'll jump right in and know that this also applies to other types of plants related to squash. So not just squash, I hand pollinate my seedless watermelon plants. You can hand pollinate lots of things that you want to cover to protect. I've had this cover on for a couple days now, so I want to show you guys before I jump into the hand pollination process exactly how this cover is designed and how it works. Now, if you don't have a Vego garden bed, know that this probably won't work for you. This is specifically designed to fit onto Vego garden beds. So if that doesn't apply to you, you can just skip forward. But if you're interested in investing in a Vego garden bed, which as you can see, I have many of them in my garden. I love them a ton. I have bought some myself. The company has sent me some to use for tutorials. I am a big fan of their products. So if you are interested in investing in one, definitely stick around to see how this system is designed. One of the things I like a lot about this is that you don't have to take off the whole cover or really deal with like weighing it down into the ground. It fits really snugly over the frame and down onto the garden bed itself. There are some little like tie down areas, but I have found that I don't even need to use those. It fits so snugly around this because each of the systems is designed specifically for the size of your bed that you're putting the cover onto. So it stays really snug, kind of like a really tight dress over the frame. That's what it kind of reminds me of. When you need to access your plants, it's super easy. There are two zippers on two sides. So this side has two zippers that you can open up a flap from, and then there's also one on the other side so you can access from either side of the bed. Now I'm gonna show you guys what the material, a close-up of what the material looks like. It's kind of like a polyester-y cloth, so it's not gonna degrade over time, but it has enough holes that water is going to get down through the cover to water your plants. You can also see that a good amount of light also gets in. The sun is really shining today, and you can see that there are lots of nice shadows in here telling us that plenty of light is getting through to our plants. Now we have irrigation set up in here, so that makes it super easy to, if we want to do like a drenching water, I don't have to take the cover off to do like a hose water or something like that if it hasn't rained. We love our irrigation, definitely recommend looking into an irrigation option for your plants for the healthiest watering habits. But if you don't have irrigation and you're just relying on the rain where you are, the material here, as you can see, is very transparent and it has all of these little openings in it, so plenty of water is going to get through to your plants. Okay, so let's jump into the hand pollinating process. I recommend using something like a little paintbrush. This is just from like my daughter's art kit. It is nothing special at all. Go to the dollar store, do something like that. Some people like to take the flowers off and like smush them together, but I like to leave the flowers on because I don't know if I may need that male flower for more pollination either the next day. Sometimes you can cross-pollinate between different types of plants, so like different types of squash. You can use male flowers from one plant to pollinate a female flower on another plant. So I like to keep them viable for as long as possible, and just using a little paintbrush is a really neat little process. So once you've got your paintbrush, you need to learn the difference between a male and a female flower. So male flowers do not have a fruit at the base of the flower, whereas female flowers have the teeniest, tiniest little start of a fruit at the base of their flower. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what that means. I don't have any fully open flowers on my squash plant yet, but this right here is a male flower that should be opening very soon. And you can see when you look at the flower, on the base of the flower, there is nothing. This is just the male. There's no start of a fruit here. And if you look on some of these squashes, like this is the end of a female flower, and it falls off of a pollinated squash after it is pollinated. So we have another flower over here. This one is also a male because it has no start of a fruit. But up here we have the very beginnings of what will be a female flower. So you can see this is kind of hard to tell. It does kind of look like a stem now because it is so young still, but probably by tomorrow this will really start looking like a teeny tiny yellow squash. When this flower is open, you will be able to hand pollinate using any of the male flowers and pollinate any of the female flowers. And this right here is my seedless watermelon plant, but this will give you a good idea of what happens if you don't pollinate a female flower. So on the seedless watermelon plant, you can see right here, this right here is a female flower because it has a teeny tiny start of a little watermelon at the bottom. Right over here, we have a male flower because this one does not have any start of a watermelon at the bottom. Now, I have 2 seedless watermelon plants here, and I got myself in a bit of a predicament this year because I accidentally killed my seeded watermelon plant. And seedless watermelon plants' male flowers are sterile. That means that they cannot pollinate the female flowers. So you need a seeded watermelon to use the pollen from those male flowers to pollinate the female flowers. So I have been hand pollinating my seedless watermelon plant this year with my little paintbrush to make sure that I am able to take pollen from male flowers on either my mom or my neighbor's watermelon plant to pollinate my female flowers on my seedless watermelon plant. Now, if you do not pollinate your female flowers, this cute little watermelon here, you can see that the flower has dropped off. And again, this is the exact same process for a squash fruit. This flower will drop off, and then this watermelon will not get any bigger. It will slowly start to rot, and it will eventually look like this sad little watermelon right here. This was not pollinated by me. See, it's dead, it fell off, it's not going anywhere because it was never pollinated. The same thing will happen to your squash plants if you don't hand pollinate them, if you have them covered, or if you have them uncovered, if they don't get pollinated by a pollinator. All right, to show you guys the actual process of hand pollinating, I did what I say I don't usually do and take the flower off, but that's because this flower is nearing the end of its life anyway, and it's just easier to film. So right now I'm over on my butternut squash plant. I took this flower off, and again, we know that this is a male flower because it does not have any fruit at the base of the flower. So all you're gonna do is take your paintbrush and just brush all down inside of that flower. You just want to make sure you're getting some of that pollen onto your paintbrush. Pollen is really tiny, but I'm really going to try and get this to focus here so you guys can see. Yeah, can you see those little yellow dots kind of on the tip of the brush and on the side? So this is your pollen. So all you're going to do is then take this brush and dip it down into the inside of one of those female flowers and move it around to transfer this pollen to your female flower. So it really is just as easy as taking a paintbrush and transferring pollen from a male flower to a female flower. It's just a matter of looking to see which ones are the males and females. Now, I have seen a lot of people talk about whether or not you should cross-pollinate squash plants. So for example, if I have my vertical yellow squash here, say I have 2 female flowers on it, but I have no male flowers. I will go over to my butternut squash plants and pull a male flower to pollinate from that one. I am fine doing this because I am not saving any of my seeds from my squash for next year. I will start all of my squash seeds new from fresh seeds. However, if you are planning to save your squash seeds because you're growing an heirloom variety, know that if you are doing cross-pollination, you may end up with a different type of squash. Now that said, if you have your squash planted close together and you aren't covering them, the bees are probably doing a little bit of cross-pollinating on their own, which is one reason why I don't save seeds from things like squash and cucumbers and whatnot. So just look for your male flower and look for your female flower and make that baby squash. I definitely recommend covering using something like the Vego system here. It is incredibly easy to use. It is incredibly easy to wash when you're done with it for the season and sanitize everything. And I'm actually looking forward to the fact that this structure that it sits on, when I'm not needing to use something growing as a cover, I can just leave that in place and it's not a nuisance, and I may even be able to use it as some sort of like a small trellising system for support for some plants, which is an added bonus. I like to be able to use things for multiple different tasks in the garden. So if you guys want to save your sanity, cover your squash and hand pollinate. You'll get lots of squash. You won't have to deal with looking for squash bug eggs and borer eggs every freaking day, which is what I did for the whole first month of summer, and it was pretty soul crushing. So cover and hand pollinate, and I hope you guys found this video helpful. Until next time, happy planting.